And ready on his second attempt. That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered Marvin. He scores. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good. Off the glass. Oklahoma calls timeout. But the game is over. The game is over. Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma.
With 20 seconds left to play. Goes back to Michael Jordan. Jumper from out on the left. Good. 63-62. 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with 1 timeout. Fred Brown looking. Oh, way to Worthy. Worthy 5. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship.
Rebounded by Weber. Michigan out of timeout. Weber front court. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. They're out of timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul. Brown gets it into Williams. Here comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out the head. Long outside shot. Short. Rebounded. There. It's over. Carolina has won the national championship. How about them Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
That's it! Make room for 2017. The Tar Heels are the national dadgum champions.
This is the Roy's Boys podcast with your host, Joshua Marlowe.
Hey guys, welcome to this edition of the Roy's Boys podcast, powered by Carolina Electrical Services. Josh and Anthony here with you as we always are. Tonight we are going to look at the Elon game, which Carolina hosts tonight in the Smith Center. And Anthony, Carolina's going to welcome in the local Elon Phoenix just right down the road in Burlington.
You remember where they play better basketball at? How could you forget?
I forget the name of the gym.
Shore Center.
The Shore Center, that's
it.
right.
Yep, I can never forget that after last year. Goodness.
Yeah, Carolina opened the Shore Center last year.
That is right.
With a 40-something point victory, so not a pleasant memory for Elon, but...
Not the night they were looking for in the opener at home.
At least Carolina helped sell some tickets that night to come watch Elon play basketball. Look, Elon's coming in tonight with a 2-2 record. Their 2 wins are over Mars Hill and Milligan.
Those are resume-type wins there. I mean, what you talking about?
I mean, those are the kind of wins that might put you in the field of 68 instead of having you on the outside looking in.
I mean, look, man, let's be really honest. I mean, everybody's giving Roy credit for a tough non-conference schedule. I mean, Mars Hill and Milligan, my goodness. That's a brutal stretch. No, but seriously,
Interesting fact, though, about Mars Hill.
We're not making fun of the schedule because, again, we cannot take any team lightly, as Kentucky has shown us. Yet again on Monday night, they showed us
Almost
with Utah Valley State.
Yeah.
Yes. So
interesting note about Mars Hill.
Ooh.
Roy Williams was offered a basketball scholarship there when he was in high school.
Well, Roy was a baller. So.
And chose the route of going to Carolina instead. So, but look, Elon's coming in. It's a 2-2 record. They've lost at Georgia Tech, at Michigan, as you can imagine. Very convincible losses there. They've got one guy averaging double figures, Marcus Shetfield II, averaging 17.3 points per game. So he has the ability to put the ball in the basket. Problem is he's the only guy on this Elon team that can score. They got 2 guys averaging 9.8 points per game. But if Elon was to figure to have an upset, they would have to have some balanced scoring. It doesn't feel like they'll be able to do that tonight.
I mean, this is kind of your typical, mid-major team that you're facing early in the year, especially for Carolina. You got one guy that can typically do all the scoring. The rest of the team, you might get a couple of guys that end up producing. But, I mean, again, this feels like one of those games where, on paper, talent should help you win out. It's more about, when you look at this game, you're not, of course you're looking to win, but you're looking for this to be the type of game where you're able to start working through some of the things that you've had difficulties with early in the season and get yourself prepared for what's going to be a big test coming up the next week. So that's kind of how I think Carolina, is looking at this game. And, of course, we're going to talk about it from a Carolina perspective. But for Elon, they're coming in basically just thinking, okay, at least give yourselves a shot, keep yourselves around, and you never really know what's going to happen because, Evansville has shown us that it's possible to upset a team like, North Carolina or a blue blood program. So go in with some confidence, but also don't take the team lightly. You got to be ready to play.
One thing Elon does very well, and they'll have to do tonight if they want to have a chance to at least be competitive, is they rebound the ball pretty well. They average 44 rebounds a game. That's pretty high for a mid-major team. And it feels like normally in an upset or in a game like this, the only way they're going to win is if they get 3-point shooting and if they hold their own on the glass. Carolina only averages 5 more rebounds than them, so it feels like if they can be competitive in that area, could keep them in the game. And we'll go ahead and talk about this game from the Carolina perspective because that's what we do on the podcast. Cole Anthony enters the box.
Shocking. This is not the Elon Phoenix podcast.
Cole Anthony enters tonight. He's 4th in the nation in scoring, averaging 27.3 points per game.
Again, none of the guys ahead of him have played like a legit schedule, right?
Yeah, no, he's the only guy that's
there's a guy from Northeastern Hampton, and then where was the other one from? You were reading it off to me before. Was it probably another small school?
Yeah, I forget where. He leads all Power 5 players in scoring as a freshman through the first 3 games.
Yeah.
Some other notes about Carolina. You finally got some scoring out of Armando Bacot in the final game, although Roy Williams wasn't really pleased with his effort in the postgame after the Gardner-Webb game. And same thing that I kind of put out on Twitter was he put the ball down 3 times, and those 3 times he missed the ball, or he missed a shot.
That was more of the concern from Roy in the postgame was that, he was turning the ball over a little too much, bringing the ball in low, which is something that Roy said, look, we've never taught our big men to do that. And he wasn't the only guy that was having trouble with it. Garrison was also putting the ball on the floor and holding it low, going to the basket. But I think that Roy liked what he saw from him in terms of scoring, putting the basketball in the hoop. He just wants to see him be a little smarter with the basketball, keep it above the hip, and make sure that he doesn't have those live ball turnovers that you're just left scratching your head over. I think that, there's a reason to be confident in him going in. He's a guy that's showing some things on the offensive end that people can be encouraged by.
Another guy who had his best outing on the game in Gardner-Webb was Christian Keeling. I'm going to mess that up all year long.
I've been bouncing back and forth, too. So.
He scored 9 points, finally had some areas where he played well consistently for the longest stretch of the game. The first time all year we've seen that out of him. The problem with Carolina the last time we saw them was they improved in 2 areas that I've kind of been critical about, was their free throw shooting and their transition offense. We're very good in those aspects. The half-court offense did not look good at all. It pretty much was, we have Cole Anthony, he's going to make a play. Cole Anthony's good enough to do that, but he's also a freshman. That's not a recipe for success for this team moving forward. They go to the Bahamas next week. If they go in there with that kind of mindset, they could very well lose all 3 games while they're out there. Is that the biggest area of concern for Carolina? This is the last tune-up game for Carolina in terms of non-conference, because after this, it's pretty much – it's brutal the rest of the way outside of a couple of cupcakes around Christmas time.
So you mean half-court offense, or do you just mean – because to me, it's more of offense in general. Who is that other guy besides Cole Anthony that's going to step forward? Because in each game, we've kind of seen a different person each time. In the first game of the season, who would you really say it was out of the group there? Nobody was really all that great. Garrison Brooks was probably your second best scorer that night. Second game of the season, it was Justin Pierce. Third game of the season, it was Armando Bacot. Who is going to be that guy that steps up and is that consistent threat that you have to make sure you take away each night along with Cole Anthony? And it feels like, again, you're not going to find it in one game, okay? We're not saying, if someone plays good tonight against Elon, well, that automatically means that's the guy. Congratulations, you're tasked with doing everything but, next to Cole Anthony. But at the same time, we're just looking for somebody else to take another step. Maybe it is Armando Bacot who has a nice game. Maybe it's Garrison Brooks. We don't really know who that person is just yet. We've seen some guys that we feel are going to be able to take that next step. And a lot of people, we were talking about it actually, before the show a little bit. And then I was on Twitter just searching through. There are some people that really do believe that Brandon Robinson is going to be that guy when he comes back. Look, I'm I really thought what Brandon Robinson did last year was great. I think that is so far from a guarantee right now that you just can't be overly confident in the fact that he's going to come back and be that guy that can give you 12 to 14 automatically. I mean, we just don't know because he's never had that type of role.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to ask a guy who's never played more than 15 minutes in a game to come and give you 25 to 30 minutes.
And be your number 2 scorer.
That's
a big step. Yeah.
It's a lot to ask out of a guy. Even though he's a senior, he's only hit last year was the first time he really had a role on the team in ACC play.
Right.
It feels like the most easy answer is Armando Bacot to be the guy because he's probably your second most talented player on the team behind Cole Anthony. The problem is just that you've seen at times where he does the stuff that Roy Williams is going to call him out in the postgame, whether it's put the ball on the floor or dribble the ball one too many times. And look, he's a rookie, so we kind of expect that out of him.
Exactly.
I think the guy we all thought it to be, and it's still early, was Leaky Black. He's giving you 5 points a game right now. He's got to score a little bit more for you, and he's only shooting 28% from the field.
Well, you asked, I think it was Brant Wilkerson knew when you interviewed him, did we maybe expect a little too much out of Leaky on the offensive end? Did we think that this was going to be a guy that could score 12 to 14, that range that I'm kind of going to be looking at for most of the year? And we thought, okay, he's going to come in and be that. Maybe we expected a little bit too much out of him. I mean, is that kind of where the thinking's at on the offensive end? Like, maybe this is more of a guy that's 8 to 9 and rebounds the ball well and plays really good defense as opposed to a guy that can be your second leading scorer on the offensive end. Because, I mean, you said it. We really don't know what kind of jump shooter he is. We didn't see that a whole lot a year ago. And now, we haven't seen it a lot this year. We've seen it a few times where, I know that you've said, Leaky, take that to the basket, my man. And he's spotting up and shooting. So, I don't know. Maybe, it's still early in the year, and that's the other thing. We caution, don't overreact to these things. Again, we do a podcast, so we always sound like we're overreacting to these things. But we're also trying to keep it to, a level where it's like, okay, well, some of these guys have struggled early in the year, but we are still only 3 games into the year. We're about to play our 4th game tonight. So it's a little bit, give and take with what we've seen so far. But maybe Leaky is that guy that steps up.
Yeah, so, tonight we'll go ahead and kind of wrap this up with the Elon game. Look, Carolina's most gifted, more talented. They're bigger, stronger, faster.
Right.
But they've still got to come ready to play. They weren't ready to play Friday night.
Cut down on the turnovers. That's one thing that can kill you against these smaller schools. If you turn the ball over and give them more opportunities, that can result in a tough night.
And that's something I was going to bring up. Carolina's averaging 15.7 assists a game. It's kind of low for Carolina, but not a bad number. But it's offset with 14 turnovers a game, so their assist-to-turnover ratio is not good. And this team is not good enough to withstand having that kind of formula. They've got to, A, get the assist numbers up, but B, they've got to cut out the turnovers. And I think the problem this year is, it's not even – I could live with some of the dumb turnovers where, you make a bad pass or something like that you see out of a freshman. You're seeing just blatant – even more miscues from the veterans, more so than the young guys like a Garrison Brooks or Leaky Black, a guy that's only a sophomore we trust a lot to do, and that's where Carolina's got to get cut out.
Christian Keeling, a guy that is a graduate player you thought coming in, has the experience, might be able to hold on to the ball. I mean, he's taking care of the ball a little bit better the last 2 games. But, no, you're right. I mean, I think we kind of knew that in the preseason. Okay, there's going to be times where this team's going to turn the ball over because they're young. Especially early in the year, they haven't played with each other a lot. So it is going to be, there are going to be some moments where you're going to look and say, wow, we had a tough night turning the basketball over. But, yeah, I mean, 14 turnovers a game so far, that's not where you want to be, especially with the fact that that's 14 turnovers a game. I get that you played Notre Dame in the opener, but since then you've played UNC Wilmington and Gardner-Webb, and you still had turnover issues in both of those games. So I think that's one of the big things tonight is, can this team take care of the basketball? Can they find a way to continue to make their foul shots, which was something they did in the last game against against Gardner-Webb. And, is this a team that can find, some guys that step up and start to get in an offensive rhythm? Can Christian Keeling take advantage of this lesser opponent? Can a guy like, we just talked about, Leaky Black,